Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. House Democrats finished their impeachment arguments in the Senate trial of President Donald Trump.
Now the president's lawyers get their chance to fire back and try to defend him against the charges that he abused his power and obstructed Congress.
They will begin making their case in the morning as that trial moves into the weekend.
Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill on how members from both parties are responding.
House impeachment managers used almost every minute of their 24 hours to try and convince senators that President Trump needs to be removed from office.
Donald J. Trump has abused the powers of his presidency in that, using the powers of his high office, President Trump solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, in the 2020 United States presidential election.
On this third and final day, they wrapped their case for abuse of power and spent hours trying to prove the president obstructed Congress.
He orchestrated a cover-up, and he did it in plain sight.
No president has ever dared, during an impeachment inquiry, to officially and explicitly order government witnesses to defy House subpoenas.
Republicans do not seem swayed.
They've run out of things to say about 3 days ago. That's because the case that they're presenting is weak and it's flimsy.
The president's legal defense team will begin presenting its side Saturday morning. The president has complained about the timing, tweeting it's Death Valley in TV.
President Trump's attorney Jay Sekulow says they'll save the bulk of their arguments for early next week. The president offered some advice to his team in an interview on Fox News.
What my people have to do is just be honest, just tell the truth.
Once the president's team wraps, senators will have 16 hours to ask questions before revisiting the issue of new witnesses and documents. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And we do want to let you know that CBS plans a special report tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. as the White House begins its defense, and that will preempt some of our regular Saturday morning programming.
Well, President Trump addressed the annual March for Life rally in person today, vowing to make the fight against abortion a top priority.
Now, it's the first time a president has personally attended the march in its 47-year history.
Unborn children have never had a stronger defender in the White House.
Since taking office, the president has pushed policies to restrict abortion access, including appointing 2 conservative Supreme Court justices.
The theme of this year's event was pro-life, pro-woman.
To all the women here today, your devotion and your leadership uplifts our entire nation.
Planned Parenthood says it plans to spend a record $45 million to elect someone who is pro-choice and supports safe abortion access.
All right, we want to turn to the weather now, and Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us. Bob, it might be the middle of winter, but felt a whole lot like spring out there today.
It sure did, didn't it? Especially for you.
Yeah, played a little golf.
He played a little golf out there. He sent us his picture on Facebook. Take a look at this. This isn't viewers' pick. This is anchor picks. Take a look at this. Here's Russ. He was out there taking a selfie out there on one of the golf courses out there. Cool looking shot there. Yeah, been very nice today. In fact, take a look at this. It's been a very nice January so far. Keep in mind our average high temperature in January in Billings is 39 degrees. So anything that was below 39 we have basically in blue. Anything above 39 was in red. And you'll notice we had a lot of red out there. In fact, there was 10 out of 31 days where we were below average. Boy, it was an incredible January. So look at that. And that takes us right up to the 24th, 54 degrees today. Then tomorrow right on into the rest of next week, we're forecasting temperatures getting back into the 40s and 50s all the way through. It's going to be an incredible month. Anyway, we'll have the rest of your forecast and your weekend forecast coming up in a few more minutes.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Well, it has been a difficult week for Hardin High School students after 16-year-old Selena Not Afraid's body was found Monday.
Last night, the girls' basketball team shortened practice to attend a vigil in Hardin, and tonight, once again, remembered Not Afraid.
Silence to lift the family and friends of Selena Not Afraid in thought and prayer, and to continue to bring awareness to the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement.
Players from Hardin and Central, along with fans, held a moment of silence for Selena, who went missing on New Year's Day. The Hardin girls wore red warm-up shirts with the words "Hope for Sal."
And Central players wore red shirts with MMIW for murdered missing Indigenous women. The Lady Bulldogs said they appreciated the support and remembrance of their friend.
We were all close with her. We're all friends with her on the team. Pay our respects to the family because it's a very sad loss. We're like playing hard for Selena, so she was like in our hearts as we're playing. That was like so like heart feeling, like they did that for us.
Well, both the Hardin and Central boys teams also wore those red shirts, and Scott will have highlights from the games a little later in sports.
Well, the trial of an Absaroka man accused of running over and killing another man almost 7 years ago has wrapped up its third day. Michael Holtz is charged in the death of Forrest Dana in 2013 during the annual Absaroka Days celebration. Now, the trial is playing out in Glendive because the defense successfully argued that Holtz could not get a fair trial in Stillwater County. According to the Glendive Ranger Review, a forensic pathologist testified that Dana died after he was struck and run over by a vehicle. He also testified Dana was laying in the alley and had a blood alcohol level of 0.30. Holtz's attorneys argue no reasonable person would have noticed Dana passed out on the ground. Now, Stillwater County Sheriff's deputy says the next day he noticed that Holtz's car had front end damage. Holtz claimed that he had hit a deer, but the prosecution says that there are multiple security cameras that put Holtz at the scene of the crime. Now, that trial will resume on Monday and is expected to last the rest of next week.
New numbers out today from the Montana Department of Labor show Montana's unemployment rate holding steady at 3.4% when seasonally adjusted, which is 1/10 of a percentage point lower than the national average of 3.5%. 1,200 new jobs were added in the state for the month of December. And for the year, Yellowstone County gained 717 jobs. The unemployment rate dropping to 3.1% from 3.4% a year ago. Carbon County's rate dropped 0.2% of a percent to 3.6%. Muscle did tick up by 1/10 of a percent to 4.1%. Bighorn's unemployment rate dropped, but is still near the bottom of the state with an unemployment rate of 6.7%. And if you're wondering, Carter County in the very southeast part of the state has the lowest unemployment rate at 1.9%. Lincoln County has the highest unemployment rate at 8.5%.
And still to come on your 10 o'clock news, Billings firefighters spend their careers putting out fires, and now they're working to knock out cancer. We will show you how.
And in sports, Scott has some remarkable stories from this two-time world bullfighting champion in town for tomorrow's Montana Pro Rodeo Hall and Wall of Fame induction.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.